Burnley footballer Ashley Westwood suffered a severe right ankle injury earlier today, and in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly how these types of injuries occur. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer. It was concerning scenes earlier today in the Premier League when Ashley Westwood's right ankle appeared to be at least dislocated and most likely fractured as well. We don't have great footage of the mechanism. We have some nice pictures we'll look at in a bit here, but at least on this replay, we can somewhat see how this occurs. As Westwood goes in to get this ball here, you can kind of just see how his right leg, as he leads with that right foot, basically gets kind of caught underneath him as the West Ham player comes in and may make contact. We'll address this more in a bit, but right away on the pitch, we can see the medical provider here stabilizing his right ankle and just how severely externally rotated, meaning pointed outwards, his foot is in relation to his tibia. So right away, we can see this was a significant injury. From this back view, we again don't see too much detail other than Westwood's right leg extending out here and it just getting caught awkwardly beneath him as he makes contact with the West Ham player. But then this still image points to exactly how this happened. We can see here his right leg and his right ankle in particular basically get forced underneath of him, and his right ankle gets forced into this externally rotated position. If we look at his left foot and ankle, you can see how it's kind of pointed straight forward, but then if we look at his right, that foot is rotated all the way out to the side, severely externally rotated, which, as we'll talk about in a minute, is what causes the cascade of events to lead to the dislocation and the likely fracture. And then because the ankle is still dislocated here, we see that position where the foot is rotated outwards. With our biodigital anatomy tool here, I'll point out the key ligaments that are involved in maintaining the stability of the ankle joint and that become compromised and torn when we see an injury like this. The first on the inside of the ankle are going to be the deltoid ligament complex. We don't typically think about this one, but whenever we see the foot rotated outwards so much like this, that deltoid ligament complex is going to be involved and most likely injured. The other ones we worry about are the high ankle ligaments or the ankle syndesmosis. It's the AITFL, and it's this one in dark blue here that connects the fibula to the tibia or the shin bone. This ligament is important to help maintain the integrity of this true ankle joint, that mortise of the ankle joint. And then of course, in the kind of sky blue here are the traditional lower lateral ankle ligaments that can be involved in an injury this severe, but aren't the primary mechanism. Visualizing these ligaments on the foot model, let's walk through again how this happens. First of all, the foot externally rotated means it's going to point outward, kind of in this direction. So the toes out towards the fibula here on the outside. So what that's going to do is, number one, stress this inside portion of the ankle. The foot goes outward, and if you think of a rope kind of going between the medial malleolus of the tibia and the talus, that's going to be how that deltoid ligament complex gets stretched. Now on the outside of the ankle is where we have that syndesmosis, that high ankle ligament here between the distal tibia and the fibula. Again, as that foot externally rotates, you can see how much this space right here is going to be widened by that external rotation. So you get this sequence of events where the foot gets forced into that external rotation. It's going to stress and probably injure the deltoid ligament on the inside. It's going to go further and it's going to injure that syndesmosis or that high ankle sprain ligament. And then as the foot just continues to be forced further and further and further, you ultimately end up with that tibio-talar joint becoming completely dislocated. And in the process, you often also fracture these bones that help maintain that joint stability. Now, it is possible to have a pure ankle dislocation without any fracture, and you can also dislocate a joint called the subtalar joint, which sits more so lower in the ankle instead of between the tibia and the talus, between the talus and the calcaneus. Much more rare of an injury, but always possible with this degree of trauma. The first step in management of these injuries is to stabilize and reduce the joint. So you can now see on his right leg, that foot is no longer externally rotated. They've tried to get that ankle joint back in proper position, which is what we mean when we refer to reducing a joint. It means basically putting the joint back in position. Subsequent steps then, of course, are going to be imaging like CT scan to evaluate for the extent of fracture, MRI to evaluate for the ligament and soft tissue injury, and then surgery to help correct those fractures or those ligament injuries accordingly. That's it for the video, everybody. I hope this was educational to take a look at the mechanism of these types of injuries and some of the relevant anatomy around the ankle joint. Let me know, as always, any questions or comments down below. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.